bail denied, blasphemy laws, and we lost another one of the good ones. We've got all this in today's episode because it's the frickin' news! All right, so it's been a couple of months since I've done a news episode. The last one got a great response and it got a lot of because I dared criticize the violent mob that attacked the U.S. Capitol on January the 6th. You're Canadian, you can't say that. Yes, of course, ad hominem is a great reason to restrict free expression. More on that in our second story with a heavy emphasis on the moron part. So when we all last saw him, Iced Earth guitarist John Schaefer was wanted by the FBI for taking part in the U.S. Capitol riot. He turned himself in on January 17th and has been in custody ever since. On Friday, March 19th, his request to be released on bail was denied by a judge who ruled that while not a flight risk, he does pose a danger to the community. Schaefer was alleged to have carried bear spray into the Capitol. Apparently, he was carrying it for self-defense. Schaefer's been charged with 6 federal crimes, including assaulting a federal officer with said bear spray. These charges have yet to be proven in a court of law. Now, just to be extra special, super clear, in the US, an American cop can pepper spray anyone, anywhere, for whatever reason, and get away with it. As the Rochester, New York police oh so bravely did when they pepper sprayed a 9-year-old girl who was already in handcuffs. Yeah. Thanks for keeping the streets safe there, Rochester police. You're truly a credit to the badge. But if you spent any time in the US, the phrase, all men are created equal is just plain false advertising. If you take bear spray and even point it at a cop, you can bet they will charge you with assault and go for the maximum penalty.
We're going to federal pound me in the ass prison.
Schaefer has expressed his regrets and wishes he could get a do-over. He also has no prior record. His lawyer claims he was not violent at the Capitol, and he will be appealing the bail denial. Meanwhile, Iced Earth has been dropped from their label Century Media. I think the underlying lesson here is to not take part in a violent attack on one of the cornerstones of democracy. Up next, Nergal from Behemoth, not to be confused with Nargles from Harry Potter, has been convicted of one of the most dangerous criminal acts in all of modern society. Blasphemy. Yep, that's right. Somebody got their panties in a twist because Nergal insulted their invisible friend. Apparently, posting a picture of yourself stepping on the Virgin Mary on Instagram is a crime in Poland? Like, what the actual fuck? You would think Poland would get their priorities straight and go after the priests raping kids, but no, let's clamp down on free expression instead, because blasphemy laws are about power. When you keep your population dumb, when you keep them ignorant, they are easier to control. It has happened time and time again throughout history, and this is simply just another occurrence. Nergal is appealing, but as it stands, he's looking at a fine and possibly prison time. Yes, because nothing says that your God is all-powerful like throwing his critics in prison. Sources close to the Vatican say that they are disappointed that they can't just burn him at the stake like they used to do to blasphemers back in the good old days. Now, I am no fan of Nergal's politics, but I do agree with his right to criticism and to not be jailed for having an opinion that other people don't like, especially for one that is a victimless crime. Let's face it, the Catholic Church, you've got a worldwide organization of so-called celibate men dictating what is moral, yet if you scratch the surface, the whole thing just stinks of corruption. Spend 5 minutes reading the grand jury investigation into sexual abuse by the Catholic Church in Pennsylvania, and it will turn your stomach. Over 1,000 kids were tortured and raped by these bastards over the course of 70 years, and they covered it up. They hid the truth. And in my opinion, that church does not deserve respect from anyone, ever. I'll have links to the grand jury report as well as an article into the sexual abuse by the Catholic Church in Poland in the description below. Now, when it comes to criticizing religion, I think Salman Rushdie said it the best. And I quote here, "The moment that you say any idea system is sacred, whether it's a religious belief system or a secular ideology, the moment you declare a set of ideas to be immune from criticism, satire, derision, or contempt, freedom of thought becomes impossible." Rushdie, of course, was sentenced to die for blasphemy in his 1989 book, The Satanic Verses. It seems it doesn't matter the religion, they're all just varying brands of batshit crazy. Now in 2021, it seems that Poland's blasphemy law is certainly an attempt to curtail free expression and to limit criticism of the church. Apparently these geniuses have never heard of the Streisand effect. Now to help out, I'll have links to Nergal's blasphemous picture in the video description so you can help share it around the world. Nergal has also set up a GoFundMe to help fund his appeal, and I'll have a link to that as well, because fuck that church and fuck their stupid blasphemy law. Now, we did try reaching out to Jesus Christ, and unsurprisingly, he was unavailable for comment. Apparently, he's too busy doing absolutely nothing about the global pandemic to be bothered with such trivial matters. And sadly, we lost another one. Vocalist LG Petrov from Entombed passed away on March 7th from cancer. Apologies for getting to this story so late. Now, I don't have too much to say about Entombed as I'm not their biggest fan, but I do have one very cool story to share. I remember going to Harpo's in Detroit in the early 90s to see a show, mainly because Pantera was playing a concert the next town over and they were rumored to come hang out after the show, which they did. Harpo's was kind of like a bigger Mos Eisley cantina. It's got all sorts of interesting characters and could definitely be a little rough. So I went to the show and this band called Entombed was playing. I hadn't really heard much of them, but they blew me away. They were absolutely incredible live. And I saw one of the coolest things I have ever seen at a live show, and I remember this vividly. Now, a fight had broken out down in the pit, and one guy was getting ganged up on. Petrov stopped the show and said, "Wow, you guys are fucking brave. 9 guys on 1. What a bunch of fucking pussies. You guys think you're so tough? Why don't you come up here and take us on?" Now, in my opinion, that took some balls, and I'm sure the guy who was getting his ass kicked really appreciated it. Needless to say, none of the 9 brave men went up on stage to take the band on. I think security wound up dragging them out. The band continued the show and rocked the place. Now, I was so impressed by that show, I went to the record store the next morning and I bought the CD. That was Wolverine Blues. Mr. Petrov, thank you so much for the great show and the amazing memory. You'll be missed. All right, that's it for this episode of the Frickin' News. I'll be back again when something interesting happens. Until then, support free expression and don't bring bear spray into the Capitol. I'm frickin' out of here.